Hello my friends, Lissa here for another video. Today I would like to chat about why I feel that I couldn't stay raw vegan. So as most of you know, I discovered raw veganism around 2004, back when I was working at a natural health store. And it was so intriguing, but at the time I felt it was way too extreme. I could see the beauty in it and it really resonated with me, but I didn't want to give up the foods that I loved, and I thought it was way too extreme because being in the natural health industry, we were taught to take a lot of supplements, to eat a varied diet, and then there was all kinds of diets that came in and I would try different ones just to see how it was. So I was really not ready to go full on into the raw food, even though I had such a resonance with it. It just made so much sense to me. 2 years later, we started to get a little bit more information on the raw diet. People were writing different books, and I started to read up a little bit more about it, and I was re-motivated or re-inspired to maybe possibly do a raw diet. So I did do a raw vegan diet. I didn't have the vegan connection back then. I didn't get the vegan connection fully until 2014 when I went raw. But I did understand that as a raw foodist, you didn't eat animals, so you were just naturally a raw vegan. But because I didn't have the connection, it was just like, oh, well, if I'm going to be eating raw, then I might as well be vegan because that is what it is. But I didn't have that ethical connection yet. So I would fall on and off because I was constantly doing low calorie and high fat. So I was eating like crazy amount of avocados, like 2, sometimes 3 in a day, every day, over and over again. I was eating handfuls of nuts for snacks because I believed we needed that for energy. And I was eating very, very small amounts of greens and almost no fruit because I went through all of the Candida diet stuff all the way back since I was about 19. I was doing a lot. So 20 years ago, I was involved in all of the Candida stuff. So it was like no fruit, or if you were going to do fruit, it was like berries and apples, and high protein, high fat. So that's kind of how I was indoctrinated my whole youth. I believed that you needed all of this other stuff and that fruits and vegetables were healthy, but they were to be limited. So I tried raw off and on. I think the longest I went raw was for 2 months. And then I fell off right away and gained a bunch of weight. And then there it was like yo-yoing back and forth. I would gain a whole bunch of weight, and then I would lose 20 pounds, and I would gain more, and then I would lose 10 or 15, and then I would gain 30. It would just be super yo-yo over the next 10 years. But I would always go back to raw. Whenever I wanted to get healthy, I would default to raw. But I didn't understand that I wasn't eating enough and that I was eating way, way, way too high fat. Now, I don't believe in no fat. Maybe for certain circumstances, it might be good for you to do no fats, but over the long term, no, it's not going to work. It's going to cause insulin resistance, cause cravings, tiredness, lethargy, and I just don't think that it's beneficial because you aren't getting as much fiber and you aren't eating as many calories from the fruits and vegetables, which should be our main source of calories. So that was what I was doing wrong. So from 2004 all the way up to 2014, I tried hundreds of times, literally hundreds of times, to be a raw vegan. Like I said, the longest was about 2 months. The shortest was like 1 or 2 days. Most times I would be like, okay, I'm gonna be raw. And then I would do 1 day or 2 days and then go to someone's house and they would be like, oh, do you want to have to? And I'd be like, okay, yeah, I'll go back to raw tomorrow. And then that would never happen. There was never a tomorrow. It was always wishful thinking. So I didn't have that strength to say no and stay on my path. But I didn't have the knowledge that I have now as to what to eat, because I was totally under eating. And then I would think that raw veganism wasn't for me because I would be hungry or tired or like just my blood sugar would drop like super fast and super crazy, but I was eating, like I said, so many nuts and seeds and very little fruits and vegetables. I remember one time in my journal, and I have my journal right here, I remember writing in there that I had eaten probably a cup worth of nuts. And then an hour later, I ate a cup of berries. And I got a sugar crash after that. And I was like, oh, I wrote in the book, tomorrow remember not to eat so many berries. Which I find funny now because I didn't know back then that it was the fat that was causing the problems, because now I can eat all the berries in the world and I feel great. I have a lot more energy. So I didn't know, and that's something that I want to provide to all of you guys, is my personal experience. And sure, it's just anecdotal. You can take it for what it is. You can take pieces of it, apply it to your life, or just listen. It doesn't really matter to me, but I'm trying to share for those that might need it, or for people who are doing a raw vegan diet who might be experiencing some issues with it. I really want to try and help as many people as I can. And like I said, whether you're high raw or all raw, it doesn't really matter as long as you are consuming whole plant foods. One of the main reasons why I couldn't stay raw vegan in those 10 years was also because I didn't have the ethical connection. It wasn't until 2014 when I watched Earthlings, Forks Over Knives, and Cowspiracy, I was like, okay, I don't want to be part of this. I'm vegan. And I have a very unique situation because I never tried the classic vegan diet, like the whole food plant-based thing. I never did that, ever. I always did raw. If I was going to be a vegan, I was a raw vegan. So that is unique to me because I always had the connection. If you were vegan, you ate raw food. So that's why I chose to be a raw vegan, because if I was going to be a vegan, might as well eat raw food. That's what I thought all vegans ate, actually. Back then, there wasn't very many foods that were vegan, and if there were, they really didn't taste that great. I've eaten vegan food. Even when I was an omnivore, I ate whatever. I would be like, oh, this is good vegan food, and I would just eat it just because it was food and it was good, not because I was vegan. But once I went vegan, it was like, okay, well, I guess I'm raw now. And I think that was such a strong motivator for me that it kept me raw just from my mindset. And then every single morning that I would wake up, I would start to tell myself, today I'm a raw vegan, and I would just focus on today. I wouldn't have to worry about tomorrow. I'll worry about tomorrow. You can plan, and you can say, like, sometimes I would say, well, tomorrow I want to have this salad or whatever, and I would buy ingredients for it. But I always focused right on today, and I said, what am I going to have for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Today I am eating raw vegan foods because this is what I want, this is what I feel best doing, and that slowly with time changed my mindset. And that is something that I didn't do when I was experimenting over those first 10 years of my raw vegan experience. I wasn't reprogramming my brain to see an abundance. I was also extremely scared of calories. Because, again, we were indoctrinated to cut calories to lose weight. Even calorie restriction diets were meant to extend your life. So I was confused of the whole calorie thing, and I believed if I ate a ton of calories, I would gain weight. So I would always restrict. But when I went raw vegan in 2014, I did more research. I tried the low-fat version because I was like, well, I've been trying the high-fat version these last 10 years and it hasn't been working, so there's got to be something else out there. And when I found out about doing a lower-fat version, that is what made it stick, because if I was eating lower fat, I had to eat a lot more of all the other things. So I found some groups on Facebook that I was in before I started my YouTube channel, and they were talking about making sure that you eat enough. So I started eating like huge amounts, and I was like, this is so easy. It was so much easier to do, and then I just stuck with it. And I kept programming my mind to believe that I was eating abundance and variety, and I never did like a whole 100% fruit thing. I never did extended water fasts or juice fasts or anything like that. I always stayed consistent with my lots of fruit and lots of greens. That's what I've been eating every day since I started. just prepared differently in different combinations for sauces, and how, how you cut your vegetables can make a dish completely different. But those were, I believe, some of the main reasons why I couldn't stay raw vegan in those first 10 years. And I actually believed that it wasn't a good diet for people because I could just not stick to it, but I wasn't doing it in abundance. So I hope you guys liked a little bit of my story thrown in here on this video, and I hope it helped somebody out there who might be struggling as well. If you did like this video, please click like and subscribe to my channel to get notifications for more. I have plenty of raw vegan recipes that I've been using over the last 4.5 years, staying vegan, raw vegan. You can find all of those in my ebooks right here. The link is also in the description below, so you can grab those if you feel compelled to, if you want to add more raw vegan foods into your diet. This channel is called Lissa's Raw Food Romance because I am in love with raw food. Now, you can be in love with raw food too. You don't have to be a fully raw, 100% raw foodie to love raw food. Just eat more of it. Get more in. And that's why I created these recipe books, so people can eat more salads, get more greens in, have more great smoothies and all that kind of stuff. So you can grab those here, as I mentioned, or you can get print versions off Amazon. The links are in the description below. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Raw Food Romance, on Facebook, Lissa's Raw Food Romance, and on Snapchat, Lissa Raw Vegan. So until the next video, guys, fruit on.